if you can bring up if you don't know, it's planet Earth. We all live on that planet, so we're all together and unified by that. So we went 15 hours today and 15 hours yesterday, so we could cover a large portion of it. And we were successful, hopefully, in doing that, and hope you found the content valuable. If you weren't able to join many of the sessions, and I had expected 0 human beings to be on for all that, you can go back and replay it. What we're going to be doing is post-production on these and segmenting them, so you'll be able to see the videos, get the audio versions, if it's authorized, the transcripts, as well as their presentations, again, if they were authorized for distribution. So come back and visit. And we want to do events on this platform maybe once every other week or so, and there's more to come on that. But I really want to spend a few minutes just thanking you, Tess. We have known each other for a number of years. We've gotten more close recently, and I really appreciate the creativity and discipline and just the ability to get things done. And I'm just, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Laura Osborne, Ann Harrison, Katrina Rodriguez, Jenna Dern, Daniel Kochevi, Daphne Aronson, all the presenters, all the people who've spent their time and energy and ideas speaking over these past couple of days. There's over 50 people who've contributed content. We have nearly, I'm not going to count it offhand, but there's nearly 30 sponsors, and I want to thank them because, particularly given what happened with COVID, the delegate revenue, the revenue from the enterprises just didn't exist anymore. So we talked to them about what we were planning on, and they believed in us. And so, I really owe them a debt of gratitude for making this come to life. And this being the PAFOW campus, this is going to be an always on platform. So come back and visit as you wish. And we're going to have events here, like I said, all the time. When you come into the platform, you either come in for free, you can access all the content, but you won't be able to download it. If you become a PAFOW member, community member, you will be able to download it, and you will also have access to the PAFOW community app. And this is where our content library resides. And so you'll be able to access the sessions, wherever you go, whenever you want. And so that'll be exciting. We'll do PAFOW Global 4 times a year like we just did, although I do not know if the format will change or what have you. But we want to do conferences and eventually go back in person. That is the plan. On the platform, on the app, you'll be able to see my weekly show or listen to it, PAFOW Live. And the reason we do that, and I want to emphasize live, it's like we want the really relevant content that's timely, that's actionable for you. So if you have ideas of who you'd like to hear from, or if you'd like to contribute, please reach out to Tess or myself or anybody on the PAFOW team, and we'll gladly explore making that happen. Similarly, we can do the podcast. It's a little bit different format, not as structured given it's not live, but there's that content on with some of the most prominent thought leaders and practitioners in the world. We're more active on social media than we've ever been. We have re-release of what we're calling the People Data for Good newsletter. And what Tess and I want to talk about briefly right now is a new initiative that we have, what we're calling Learning Labs. And Learning Labs are these education/consulting hybrids where you as a learner benefit, but your organization also benefits. And we have a cohort model according to these 12 themes, and there's going to be others, but these are the way we're structuring our content within the environment. And so if you're interested to learn more, next week we're going to be announcing the next release of our Learning Labs, which is formerly known as the PAFOW Academy. People came here to Santa Cruz, California, my home, and we went through a 3-day experience. Obviously not going to do that anytime soon. So we're reinventing this. So before I go any further, Tess, you've been involved with crafting this experience, these Learning Labs. I mean, what's your perspective? Why do you think this model that we've been iterating is worth taking a look at?
Well, I think as you said, it's a mixture of application as well as themes and concepts. I think the fact that it's about community and the cohort. It'll enable a way of people to learn together, but also to learn from one another. We've heard so much about how things are changing in the world of work. And one of the biggest things is who we're learning from. I mean, that structured learning environment of going somewhere and having someone chalk and talk at you, it's definitely got to change. And so we have to look at it from a viewpoint of how we create learning, just not being about the education, but the experience, the exposure, the environment that we give. So I think that'll be quite different from what might have been typically offered by many other places. And by the fact that it's embedded in PAFOW, as I said, it's that community. I think that'll be a really big differentiator there.
Yeah, I think so too. And we want to be very upfront. We have structure to it, but we also want to apply creativity based on the needs of those who are going to participate, whether it be a multi-faceted group from around the world with different backgrounds, or an organization that wants a lab within their organization. So there's a variety of things that we can do. If there's a theme that's of interest to you, we're going to have an emerging leader lab. Tess, you're going to lead a workforce planning lab. So we got a variety of things on the roadmap here. So anything more to share about this?
I think the only other is what I really like, and played it out with this conference as well. And I'm not taking away from that physical, but the ability for the overall inclusiveness. I mean, the way that we've had, Europe, UK, US, Australasia, as it's been referenced, with colleagues in Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. I mean, that's really hard to achieve physically. You can have a speaker or two, and you can have some companies represented when you're in that physical location, but just even the way you run the timeframes and the likes, I think playing that out in the learning labs would be great as well. Bringing that, where we were commenting just earlier today about some things that Australia's doing that might be a little bit ahead of what the US has. And then there's instances, of course, where the US is ahead of what Australia has been doing. I've got to confess, the 4 a.m. UK I didn't quite make, but I definitely know that there'll be things that they're doing that are in the leader position as well.
Well, that's one of the things that we really are committing to, and is that there is the reality that we all have. Hopefully people are working, and if they're not, they're looking for work. And the idea at the end of the day is that people's time is scarce, and we want to honor that. So to ask people to stare at glowing rectangles for hours on end, I don't like it, ironically. However, we want to hear from people who have use cases, people who have ideas, so we can move forward on our personal lives, on our teams, our organizational level, certain groups, in more conscious, deliberate ways. And so we need to generate content. We need to make that content accessible. So when we talk about our learning labs, it's not going to be, a textbook that was written 4 years ago. And we might have reading that from books such as that, but we're going to bring relevant content that is timely, that is leading edge, some of the content that has been generated over the past 2 days. So we want to bring that to life and have people actually use it. So we'll see how we go. And we love the participation of our community in that. So as I start to wrap up, Tess, I want to bring up the last slide that I have. Actually, I have two. And I want to emphasize this notion of people data for good. And you, myself, and Heather have long connected on this theme. And we've really made a overt, conscious commitment to the ethical and responsible use of people data, analytics, and AI. And it's the case where, this sounds great. We need to, acknowledge that data is prolific, that all these technologies are out there, but we also have to acknowledge that there's risks, that we need to be thoughtful. We need to be conscious of adverse impact and even the potential of it. So as we move forward, what does this mean to you personally? Because again, you've been doing workforce planning, you've been in the data and analytics world for a long time. So you've seen both, good, healthy behaviors on this front and less so. So, what does this mean to you?
I'm actually going to steal a theme that's been coming through the last 2 days, and we've definitely heard different ways of representing the heart, heads, our hands, and definitely the human element. And I want to actually add in hope, given Shane's presentation just now. I think that they're great. And I think that, you know, if we look at it constantly, almost like a mantra, but it can be prescriptive as well as descriptive. If we're looking at our data and how we're using it, and we think about, how did I use my heart? You know, how am I making it humanistic? How am I actually, you know, looking at it from the head perspective, which of course tends to be the default from that perspective? How am I creating hope from the data? I mean, I just think that if we come up with really simple ways, and as I said, that the 4 H's, or it's now 5 because I popped in hope. I just think that things like that can really help us ensure that we're applying the people data for good. Does that help? What about for yourself, Al? What do you think? Because it's about simplification, isn't it? Something that you can hang on to, use it, and not have to think too hard about. And sometimes our lists get really long about all the things that we should do. So that's why I just gravitate to those 5 H's, as I'm going to call them now.
Yeah, I'll say this is that I, if nothing else, would like everyone who participates in our community to be conscious about how data is being used. In our family, we talk about living consciously. And, you know, we have actually 30 C's. And I won't go through all the C's, but I shared some of them earlier: kindness, curiosity, creativity, celebrating others, and, you know, consciousness. And so, you know, are we conscious of both the risks and opportunities inherent in our work? And I would hope that people are inspired to take a virtuous stance and learn, or have the fortitude rather, to say no, and also conversely to apply creativity to go after problems in new ways. And that's what Shane was really elevating there at the end, is like, you know, what if? And gosh, you know, so I'm inspired. I'm stoked. I'm ready for a good rest. But you were going to say something, Tess.
No, look, I totally agree. That's why, you know, when you're talking to those words, like creativity to me is actually being able to instill into the element of both heart and hope. You know, ensuring that we're thinking of others when we're using that data. Again, you know, that's definitely, there's a heads part where we can map it into governance and, you know, regulation, but we can also bring it in from the viewpoint of just what's right. And that comes from heart and hope as well. So, and being human. I mean, I love, someone made the comment about the other day that, you know, it's about putting the human in the data, or the people in the data, which really resonates. I also do want to do a call out. I heard the word, what was it? Smooch, together. So many times over the last 2 days. So I've added to my vocab as well. I love it. I'm looking for opportunities to throw that in the next few days of smooching some content together.
Nice. Well, let me wrap by saying 2 more things.
Yeah.
Number 1, get your people data for good socks. Yeah, and I'll make sure you get some, Tess. But I do want to thank Teresa Ferris, who's just joined us as a board advisor, Sparrow von Wetzel, who's done so as well. Amma Mohindra has been a long-time supporter and also a contributor to this event. I want to thank the Six Connects team, Jill Marte as well, for helping in incredible ways, Edna, Justin, Rebecca from Six Connects, of course, and I'm going to finish here, the Slides Live team. So everything that you've experienced over the last couple of days has been videoed and recorded and all that stuff, and they're going to facilitate the post-production. So I cannot say enough great things about Adela, George, and the whole team there at Slides Live. So thank you for being your awesome selves. Super, super appreciate you. Hope you've enjoyed it. They've stuck with me for a number of years now. So I really appreciate everyone who is involved. So if you enjoyed this at all, just know there's an army of people who have contributed, who applied their creativity and energy. So thanks to everyone. I really, really appreciate you. And again, back to you, Tess. I really, really appreciate your support over the years as well.
Look, Al, it's always hard to do those thank you speeches, and I'm always cognizant that, you know, like it's like the Oscars. You know, did I thank everybody that I should? So I want to make sure that I help you out. I think there's a big shout out to the community as well, which I know you've commented, but let's kind of hone in on.
And Heather.
When we start looking at so and Heather, of course, but the comments in the community during the sessions, they've been really thought provoking. They've tested the ideas that have been shared. They've extended the ideas that have been shared.
Mm-hmm.
I think, overall that's been brilliant. I mean, Lara has of course been prolific in those commentary and has prompted us. You jumped on me yesterday when I made comment about building a muscle. There is a need for us to build this muscle as to how do we use a virtual environment like the conference that we've just participated in. How do we create those interactions that we would normally do if we were physically? It's so easy, as you said, to sit here and just watch the box type thing and not actively participate in it. And I think, the way in which the chat and the work that people have done from our community to prompt us to actively take on board what's being done. Again, that's just brilliant. And I think we'll only get better at it as this becomes the medium by which we're, interacting. So while, in the future we'll be able to go back to an element of physical, as per the session earlier today about what's good of COVID. I mean, I feel that there's some of these elements that are good that would be great to keep and expand on.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, and thank you for calling that out. I appreciate it. It reminds me of what I've long shared, and I don't know if I said it in our Sydney event last time we were together, but it's word from South Africa, Ubuntu, which means I am who I am because you are who you are. And I mean that. I say that to you, Tess. I say that to everyone involved in the PAFOW team, as well as the PAFOW community, including the sponsors and everyone who's participated over the past couple of days. So, as well as the speakers, of course. So thank you so much. Any closing words, Tess?
Oh, look, there's so much. I mean, this is where you kind of get tongue-tied and speechless in the regards. So I am going to be one of the many that is definitely going to be visiting this resource so that I can actually revisit some of what I did attend, but really want to, take the time to, revisit and grab some of the concepts down and dip into some of the others. So I think you've built a great resource here, and I thank, on behalf, I'll be the representative of a participant as well as one of the speakers, to thank yourself and the PAFOW team for the platform, the opportunities, and for the way in which you are building, messaging and community around, people data.
Well, it means a lot, Tess. Super appreciate you, and hope to see you before too long, whenever that might be. But I'm sure we'll see each other this way soon enough. So you be well, everyone.
Indeed.
Good morning, good night, and rest well. Be well. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye.